Okay, the recording is just for our own purpose, yeah, for learning purpose. So once again, welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm Srila, or you call me Miss Tan, the host for tonight's webinar. Today, we are very fortunate to have all of you here, or rather, congratulations to every one of you here to make time to attend this very special webinar. That is to learn more about yourself. Yeah, because we are all not created equal, right? Some people, they are born beautiful, they are born slim, regardless of how much they eat. Some always fall sick, and then we try our best, we go for yearly checkup, but sometimes you wonder what is exactly going on inside our body. So for today, we have a very special speaker, Miss Chilyn Eng. She is here to share with us nutrigenomics and discover your true self. So before I pass the session over to her, let me just introduce a little bit more about her. Well, Ms. Chilyn is member of Malaysian Dietitians Association. She graduated from the Ohio State University, US, major in human nutrition dietetics. She obtained her postgraduate diploma in dietetics from National University of Malaysia. She has undergone clinical training at KL Hospital, National University of Malaysia Medical Center, and Pantai Hospital Ipoh. She was the guest dietitian on NTV7 live show Living Delight in 2017. She has also conducted hundreds of one-to-one dietary consultation. So without further ado, I will hand over the session to Miss Chilyn. Chilyn, your stage is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Tan. Thank you for the introduction. So let me just start with sharing my slide. Okay, can everyone see my screen clearly? Let me adjust. Okay. All right. So once again, thank you for the introduction, and thank you so much for spending your time this evening. And today, as what Ms. Tan has informed us, we are going to discuss about nutrigenomics. So first of all, we heard about genetics all the time, but do we really understand what that is, and how is it related to nutrition? As you can see, the word nutrigenomics is a combination of nutrition and genomic study. So nutrigenomic is actually the study of genetic research on how foods can affect our genes, and how in turn our genetic variants can affect the way we react to the nutrients in the foods. So in other words, okay, if by understanding our genes and how food actually react with our body, then we can be more precise in managing our health in terms of managing nutrition, or in other words, our dietary intake. Well, I do believe that we all know we have similar structure, but somehow, some of us are more prone to illnesses, some of us may have longer lifespan, and some of us, we have the next generation, which is our children, our grandchildren, who may be healthier than others. And what actually determines our health status, and as well as our next generation health status? With more advanced science and technologies discovery, we now understand more in depth about genes. And that's why, besides our lifestyle, getting to know what is being stored in our DNA can tell us a lot more about our health status. So now let us go further into understanding what is gene and where you can find your gene. So as you can see, from the basic concept of science, the smallest structure of our body is actually the cell, and genes are actually stored inside our cell. So inside the human cell, we have something called the nucleus. Okay, it's the center of the cell. So here, the nucleus, we have chromosomes. And chromosomes are the DNA information that is passed to us from our parents. So in total, each of our cell, we have 46 chromosomes, which is 23 pairs of it. So 23 comes from our father, 23 pairs come from our mother. So these chromosomes, they carry our genetic information in a molecule called the DNA. So actually, why the chromosome looks like this, like an X, is because a long strain of DNA, they actually coil up very tightly and form this chromosome. So when we stretch it out, we uncoil it, we can see segments of DNA. So one small segment is actually what we call the gene. Okay, so as you can see, this small segment of genes, there are a lot of alphabet here. These are the genetic codes. Okay, it's made up of GATC, just 4 alphabet, but it can make up a very complex genetic information in each and every one of us. So genes are like the code inside our body. If it gets read and translated, then it will affect how we look outside as well as how our body works inside. So in other words, you can think of the analogy of how an engineer, a software engineer who is building an apps. So how they make an app works, or you use app before, I believe, what instruct the app to work in certain way is how the engineer input coding to it. Behind it, there are a huge data of coding that give instruction to how certain software or certain application work. So our body is the same. These genetic codes give instruction to how our cell works. Okay, so now my question is, how many copies of each genes we have? For example, your dad give you a gene that determine the eye color. Maybe he carries a green eye gene, but your mother carries a brown eye gene. So I just wanted to know the color of the eye. Okay, we have 2 copies now. So each of these genes, we have 2 copies. We are born with 2 copies, one from our father, one from our mother. So these 2 genes, they interact with each other to make us a very unique combination of our parents' genetic identities. Now, if our gene or our DNA come from our parents, then can we actually control DNA and genes? Control what kind of gene I want, what DNA I want, or can I change it? So to put it simply, we all know that what we inherit from our parents, we have no choice of it. We are given. So from the day we are born, the DNA that we have is the blueprint of life. It will determine how we look like. So we probably look like our parents in some way. And in other words, you can't really have control of what type of gene you want. However, by knowing this very basic concept, we would have thought that identical twins, because they share the same type of DNA, they split from one single cell. So by right, they should look 100% the same, right? If they grow old, then they should grow old at the same speed. However, looking at this picture here, there could be identical twins, whereby one sister will look younger, one sister may look older. Or a set of twins, one sister may have normal body size while the other is obese. But the question is, again, they have the same set of genes, but how come they look so different and they develop so differently as time goes by? This is because even with a same set of genes, the environment can have effect on us too. So by knowing that, even though we cannot change our DNA, we cannot change our gene, but something that we can actually control is the gene's expression. We can control the gene expression. So what gene expression means is when a segment of the DNA, just now what we saw in the previous slide, we have small segments where we call the gene. So when these small segments, they get translated to make proteins. And these proteins are the effectors that will make changes in our cell, affecting how our cell should work and therefore affecting our body in general. Okay, so put it simply, these genes, they may not show up the effects, which means, we have control over it, as in we can look at it like a switch, which means we can operate it by controlling whether we want to turn it on or turn it off. So if a gene operates like a switch, and if it gets turned on, then the gene is expressed. That's what we call gene expression. Okay, so there are an estimated about 200,000 to 20,000 to 25,000 of human protein coding genes, which means these genes, their function is to make protein if they get read and translated. Okay, but if I manage to turn this gene off, then it will not be expressed. In other words, this gene is just like sleeping, it's staying silent. They don't make any protein of it. The coding inside is not being used. So one thing we have to make clear is that some genes, they are always turned on. The switch is always on. For example, the genes that determine what is my hair color, my eye color, as well as my height. Okay, these genes are constitutive genes. They are always turned on since the day I was born. It already determined how I look like. So it must be always there. But some genes, they are called the inducible genes, which means it may stay silent, or if something triggers it or something induces it, then it can turn on. Okay, so by knowing this, we know that for good genes, we want to switch it on. Okay, we want it to be expressed. But for bad genes, we probably want to make it stay silent, okay, as long as possible. So talking about these different gene expression, let us just look at some of the examples here. For example, if we have one gene called the SIRT1, it's a fat burning gene. So if this gene is turned on and is always function very normally, then it means that our body can help our body to get rid of body fat much easier. So we will not struggle so much when we are trying to lose weight. Now, the next one is the liver detox gene. So this gene, if it's turned on and it's always working properly, then it means that our liver can function normally, because our liver is the part that helps us to detox. And the third example, for example, we also have a lot of different tumor suppressor genes, okay? With TP53 is just one of it. So if this gene is functioning normally, then chances is that it helps to reduce cancer risk because it suppresses abnormal cell growth. Okay, so talking about this cancer risk, we look at this global statistic about cancer incidents around the world. And what is really shocking is that the Asian region has the highest incidence of cancer, which almost cover half of the global cases. And when we break it down and we look at it by gender distribution, globally, more males than females have cancer. And talking about these incidents, can we tell apart, is it because of gene, or is it because of lifestyle, or any other factor that we didn't know about? So in terms of health risk, no matter whether it's cancer, as long as it's chronic diseases, many of these chronic diseases, including metabolic syndrome, diabetes, heart diseases, and many, many more, they are actually related to two things, which is obesity and inflammation. So especially for inflammation, it is the root cause of so many chronic diseases, including studies actually show that a person who is obese, their body is actually inflamed. But we can't see it from the outside, but within the body, there are a lot of inflammation happening. And now we understand that chronic diseases is rooted or stem from inflammation. Even though, okay, now, although the development of this certain disease may be also due to our genetic predisposition, by understanding that inflammation is also a cause of it, that means that, you know, we actually can do something to prevent it from happening, even though our genetically, we are more predisposed to it. If we know that, we can do something, because by understanding genetics, we know that we can control the gene expression. Okay. Now, what are the ways that we can control gene expression? Before answering that, we need to know what can affect the gene expression. Then we can come up with ways to counter it. So, of course, things that can affect gene expression, including poor diet. Okay, we eat something that is, you know, it could trigger inflammation in our body. A bad habit, for example, smoking. Okay, it can also cause a lot of free radicals in our body. Environmental factors, exposure to pollution, water pollution, air pollution, even sound pollution or light pollution that can somehow affect our lifestyle. Causes stress, or long-term stress can also make our body inflame. Improper sleep, as in we're not getting enough of rest. This can also stress out our body physically. So all these things, all these factors, they can interact with each other, or in the long term, it will cause the dysfunctional of gene expression, which in other words, in long term, it will cause an onset of disease. So now, of course, we all know exercise is good, healthy lifestyle, managing the stress is good, following healthy diet is good. But also, if we understand genetics, we also know that each and every one of us is a very unique makeup. So we can't just rely on a very general recommendation. Is there anything else we can do better if we know nutrigenomic better? Is there something that can really be good for us in terms of reducing inflammation, the possibility that will cause chronic diseases? So by understanding nutrigenomics and understanding how our body can react to certain factors, we know that we need some nutrients that can help us to keep our cell healthy, and in other words, it's keeping our gene healthy, because gene is found in our cell, and it depends on our cell to function properly. Everything, the gene coding, the protein synthesis, everything happen inside our cell. So what can we do, and where can we get these very good nutrients called the metabolites that can keep our cell healthy? So it's this superfood that we call Sino-X. And what is so special about these products? Let's look at the manufacturing step first. It's produced with a 10-step patented technology. So this product is actually a fermented product. So first of all, in the phase 1, step 1, they have to select some bacteria strain from spirulina, and they need these bacteria to grow. So what they do is they let these bacteria grow in an environment whereby they are listening, they're subjected to classical Japanese music. Because according to studies, they found that bacteria that are subjected to this classical Japanese music, they can grow more. And you can look at this graph, this image here, they grow more and they're actually healthier. Whereas those that are not subjected to music, the growth is not very ideal. So after being subjected to this music and they can grow very well, then the good strain of bacteria will be inoculated and mixed with spirulina. So at this stage, after mixing them together, they will undergo fermentation in a well-controlled environment at 35 degrees Celsius for 120 hours. And the final step is to make these fermented products into powder form and then press it into a tablet that is more convenient for us to consume. So during this process, everything is being done in a pretty low temperature. It's being dried at 40 degrees Celsius for a good 20 hours. And this is a very very special steps to make sure that we get the most out of it. So the second uniqueness is after the 10-step technology, what we get is more than 100 types of active and unique metabolites. And what actually metabolites are? I can just summarize to you that metabolites are very, very good anti-inflammation and antioxidant. And in these more than 100 types of metabolites, I can't show you one by one, but I will select a few examples to show how it can help to maintain healthier cell and healthier gene. For example, the first one, phycocyanin is a metabolite whereby it can bring benefit to these CD59 genes. And what this gene does is, if it's functioning properly, then it actually helps us to lower the risk of getting cardiovascular diseases. For example, preventing the formation of plaque. Plaque is something that will block our blood vessel. And then it also helps to reduce blood fat level, which is our cholesterol, our triglycerides. Okay, so which means if our cell, our gene gets this metabolite, it actually helps our gene or cell to function better. And the other one is glutathione. And glutathione help a lot in our immunity by promoting T cell function. T cell is a very important immune cell in our immune system. So in other way, it actually helps to strengthen the immune function and helps to prevent drug resistance. Drug resistance happens when our body don't really benefit from a certain drug because our body is resistant to it. Okay. And then the next one is naringenin. These metabolites help a lot in our digestive system. For example, it can help to improve the colon cancer by lowering the proliferation and inducing cancer cell death. In other words, it can reduce the cancer cell growth and make more cell death. This abnormal cell, make it die so that it can improve this cancer problem at the colon area. So it was also found that naringenin is helpful in blocking this viral production for hepatitis C. Okay, actually hepatitis A, B, C, all these are viral infection. And then finally, it was also found that it can help to decrease the metastatic tumor cell in the lung. Means it can slow down possible cancer progression in the lung area. And then triglyceride is some metabolites that is very good for our metabolism. For example, it was found that it's good for glucose lowering and also lowering the insulin sensitizing effect. Sensitizing effect means your body becomes numb or insensitive to insulin. When that happens, it means that you can't really utilize insulin for your blood sugar metabolism. This is one of the reasons why people get diabetes. We want our body to be sensitive, or our body can utilize insulin. So this triglyceride is one of the metabolites that can help our body to better utilize insulin in terms of our blood glucose metabolism. Besides that, it also helps to lower this lipid, which is our cholesterol and triglyceride. And then finally, it also helps to protect the kidney and liver. So in other words, why it could be helpful to protect the liver or the kidney, I believe it's because it is very, very good in anti-inflammatory effect and antioxidant effect. So here are some research findings. Actually, there are a lot of parameters here. I'm just showing one or two here because it will take up too much time. So according to research finding, these metabolites have an anti-inflammatory effect up to 60%. For example, these metabolites actually help to improve the gene expression of PPAR. So this PPAR gene expression means that it actually helps our body to lower a lot of risks that are related to chronic diseases. For example, with PPAR gene expression improved by 50%, the health benefit was lowering bad cholesterol, which is LDL, triglyceride, reducing heart diseases, reducing diabetes, reducing fatty liver, as well as atherosclerosis, which is the buildup of plaque and the inflammation that's happening in our blood vessel. So another example to show that it has a very good or very effective anti-inflammatory effect is that it helps to reduce a lot of inflammation marker. So inside our body, how we know a person is inflamed, we can look at a few markers. Cytokines, IL-6 is just one of it. And this research find that, these more than one inflammation marker, actually, I'm just showing one here. There are a few more that it helps to reduce a lot of this inflammatory marker in our body. And these markers actually indicates that certain parts of our body are inflamed. For example, if cytokine IL-6 is high, it means that higher risk of getting heart diseases because it's indicating inflammation in our cardiovascular system, in our blood vessel. So it was found that metabolites help to reduce this marker. It also has very good antioxidant effect. And this is a very important concept we need to understand. Why our body will be inflamed or how inflammation actually develop. It's all started from these free radicals. So free radicals can come from the environment. It can also come from our body. Whenever we are, as long as we are alive, okay, our body is metabolizing all the time. So our body also creates some free radicals. We also get free radicals from the environment. So these free radicals will damage our cell if we do not have any antioxidant to stop it from attacking our cell. So once this free radical starts attacking our cell, the effect will spread, okay, like a chain effect. It will spread very wide until we have something to stop it. So when these damages are not stopped because we do not have enough antioxidant, then this damage in a cell will develop into inflammation, and it will cover a larger and larger area, from a cell to a structure to the whole organ, and the whole organ, may cause failure in the function of that organ, and it affects the entire system. So one of the major steps we need to take is to stop these free radicals from attacking our cell. That is to have enough antioxidant. Antioxidant is like a shielding that protect our cell from these free radicals. So studies have shown that metabolites can have this antioxidant effect up to 90%. That is also, by improving certain gene expression that can lower damages in our organs. It also improves certain antioxidant level. Being an anti-inflammatory or antioxidant substance themselves, it also helps to improve other antioxidant, for example, SOD, which is the antioxidant we want to look for if we want to maintain usefulness in our cell. It can delay aging in human body, okay, so on and so forth. So the third uniqueness is that because of such a special technology and also the ingredients that is being manufactured, it has won the award of Best Innovative Ingredient in 2015. Okay, it's a technology that bridging across the Europe and Asia. So the fourth uniqueness is this product is of very high bioavailability. It is 5 to 10 times higher bioavailability to similar products. So why do we want to emphasize on bioavailability is because, no matter how high a certain supplement has nutrients in it, it doesn't really matter to us, because in the end, we want to make sure what we eat is being digested, being absorbed, and being utilized. Okay, something that gives you very high concentration doesn't mean that your body can use it. So if we really want to look for a good product, we should make sure that it is of a very high bioavailability to make sure that whatever you consume is being utilized and it really benefits your body. Okay, so because of more than 100 metabolites inside this product, of course there are a lot of users. After they use that, they find that it helps them in different ways, okay, depending on what problem they are having. For example, there are users that have seen improvement in their skin, who have been suffering eczema for over 20 years. There are also users who was diagnosed with epilepsy since a young age, also with chronic constipation problem and skin allergies. After consuming for 1 month, she see improvement in all these problems that she have. And then some people may also benefit in terms of their blood sugar level. And after consuming, they can see a very drastic improvement in their blood glucose level. And then some people, okay, it's a very common condition here, which is feeling tired and lethargic at work and constipation. I would say this is a modern problem many people face this. So consumer respond that, she found that she felt more energetic, and even her bowel movement also has improved a lot after using it for a week. So because of this benefit from metabolite. So in short, metabolite is one of the nutrients that every one of us can have it, because it is targeting on anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effect. So moving on to the next section, we want to really understand our genetics. Then what should we do? That is by doing a DNA test to discover your true self. And from there, you can find a very personalized or customized solution for yourself. So let's see what is a DNA test or genetic test and how it can help you. So the genetic testing can empower you to make smarter choices in life. How? By helping you to take more proactive steps to reduce the risk of getting certain diseases, as well as also to help you discover your hidden potential. And if you know it earlier in time, then it helps you to reach your full potential even faster or even more effectively. And what exactly we can know from a genetic test is that first, we can understand our genetic information. Actually, what they do is they decode whatever is inside your body. So by just decoding the secret inside your body, you now get to understand your genetic information. Okay, they translate it for you. And just by understanding it is not enough. You need to know how to utilize the information. So what does it mean by utilizing it? Which means you need to have a certain actionable plan after you know your genetic information. So for example, you can explore your personality, and then you know how would you perform better, maybe at work, maybe for kids, how they perform better in their studies. You can also find out how your body responds to different types of food, nutrients, or medication, so you know where to invest for better health. You may also find out the risk of certain health problems, so you know what to do to reduce the risk of this disease onset. And finally, to discover a hidden talent in your child or maybe in you. It's always not too late, right? So you know what to do to develop or further enhance whatever talent or potential one has. So let us look further in. When we talk about genetic testing, of course, there are different ways that we can collect a DNA sample. Before we can do a test, of course, we need a DNA sample. So two very common ways is through saliva collection or a buccal swab. Saliva collection means you have to collect at least 2 ml of saliva inside a container like that. Or a buccal swab is like a cotton bud where you swipe or you rub against your inner cheek, and then you keep it and send for testing. But generally, saliva collection is better than buccal swab because of 3 major reason. The first one is because saliva collection can yield a more stable DNA sample. When compared to buccal swab, it is 78 times more stable. Okay. Secondly, a saliva collection can yield a higher DNA yield, which is 18 times more than a buccal swab. And this helps to eliminate the possibility you have to repeat taking a sample. Because imagine if you didn't collect enough of this DNA sample through a buccal swab, you cannot get result. It's not enough. So you may have to repeat it. Okay, so this will, by doing this saliva collection, it can reduce that chances or that error, human error. So the last one is because by using saliva collection, the DNA quality is 5 times higher than buccal swab. So if we are looking for very reliable or accurate results, of course, we want our DNA sample to be more stable, the quality is higher, and finally, the yield, the amount of DNA sample we can collect or extract from the sample must be higher. Okay, so this is the advantages of it. And what we can know from our genetic testing, it includes different categories from our diet, physical, vitamins, health risk, or even to your sleep, your mental health, your gut health, immunity, stress, heart health, eyes health. So it's a very comprehensive testing. It's not like the normal blood test we did, okay, which just give us a few pages, but a very, very comprehensive DNA testing report will give you over 100 pages of your result, of your report, including recommendation, what you should do, what product or what food you should focus on. So for example, in terms of diet, the diet category, you will understand how your body responds to carbohydrate, protein, fat, sugar, so you know how to manage your diet. You also can find out what is the best way for you if you're looking to reduce your body fat or to reduce your body weight. Okay, in the physical section, you also can find out whether you are a person who is suitable for aerobic exercise, anaerobic exercise, strength training exercise, or endurance exercise. You may even find out if your child or your kids, they are very potential in outdoor activities, and there is where they should be, not sitting in front of the book or sitting in front of the computer. Or from here, you can also know that if you want to lose weight, should you focus on exercise or should you focus on diet? They will tell you everything. The third section is vitamins. This section, they will tell you whether you have high risk of being deficient for certain nutrients, including vitamins, minerals, some fats, and protein. So you know where or in what section you should focus more. Okay. And then number 4 is health risk. Some common health risks that you will get to know is like type 2 diabetes, genetic infection risk, and here is targeting on cold and flu. I guess a lot of people will be very interested in this. And then bone density is also something, for example, osteoporosis or osteopenia is very, very common in elderly. But by knowing if you have a risk at an earlier stage, you know exactly what you need to do to lower that. It doesn't mean that you have a risk, you must be getting that, but if you know it ahead of time, you know what to do with it. And you also know if you have caffeine sensitivity. So because there are research saying that coffee is good for health. Some research will say that coffee is bad for your health. Actually, coffee is just, coffee with caffeine. How it's benefiting you and how it's harmful to you, it all depends on your body makeup, not the coffee. So we'll look into that. We know, how much we can drink or how regular I can drink it. So in sleep section, you will know whether you are someone who should sleep early or sleep late, how long you should be sleeping, whether you have problem with fragmented sleep, which will affect your sleeping quality. Okay, all this you can find out from here, and the recommendation will be given to help you to rest better, okay? What to do, what not to do. Mental health is where the section you know whether you have a very high attention span or a low attention span, how you should work around with it if you have low attention span. Whether you are a workaholic, whether you can perform very well working at night, do you have night productivity that is very high? So by understanding this, you actually know probably you should look for a job at the night time because you actually has a higher night productivity. So something like that, okay? And then gut health is where you can know whether you have gluten intolerance, gut irritability, which means your gut is very sensitive, and this will end up with all sorts of inflammation in your gut, and that will cause a lot of gut disorder or gut diseases. So from here, you will learn whether you have the risk and what you should do about it. And then in the stress section, you will learn about how stress can affect you as a person in terms of your performance, your memory, how you deal with stress, how you should improve, and whether stress can cause other problem in terms of your sleep, your physical health. Okay, some people when they stress, they will start to experience a lot of problem, especially the gut problem. And then the 10th section is heart health. Here you will see whether you have high risk of high blood pressure and whether the high blood pressure is due to the intake of salt. Should you really radically reduce your salt intake? Whether you have high risk of getting cardiovascular diseases, you can find out here. And finally, eye health. In this section, you will also learn whether you have inherited risk of getting some very common eye problem. And this problem often only comes up when we are old. And by that time, it's too late. You can't do anything because some of these eye diseases, they develop in a very, very subtle way, very slowly, and you didn't even realize it. So by knowing you have a risk ahead, you know what to do to slow down, prevent, or even stop it from happening. Okay, so here are some of the example how we say that, by knowing the result, I can personalize something for myself. You must have an actionable plan. So each of these parameters, okay, that we discussed, they are actionable. You can do something about it after knowing the result. For example, if we are looking at this parameter, whether salt can cause high blood pressure, genetically, do you have this risk? So if the result says that, yeah, you have increased risk of salt causing high blood pressure in you, that means that by decreasing salt in your diet, it is actually helpful for you to lower blood pressure. So without even actually being diagnosed with high blood pressure, at this point of time, even you are still healthy, you need to take care of your salt intake. It doesn't mean that if you are young and you are not diagnosed with anything, you can eat whatever you want. Okay, especially with people with increased risk, they have higher tendency of getting high blood pressure due to their diet with high salt intake. Okay, so the action here is to reduce sodium from diet. Okay, sodium is the actual thing that we want to look at. Salt is just one of the seasoning that contains sodium. So if you are taking salt, it should be less than a teaspoon a day. Okay, when we look at sodium, it's 2,400 mg a day. So you can try looking at the soy sauce at your kitchen. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, how much sodium there is. So you know roughly what you should do when you're cooking or what you should do when you're eating outside. So the next one, for example, genetic risk infection, and this we're looking into cold and flu. If the result shows that one has increased risk, that means they are more predisposed to getting infection than regular or general population. Comparing to most of the people out there, you are the one who is very likely to get sick all the time when a person around you is having cold or flu, because you are just genetically more predisposed. So to protect yourself, especially if it's during a flu season, You can follow some of the action plan here. For example, if vaccine is available, go for it because you are a high-risk population. Supplements, okay? And in the next section, you will see if you want to really improve your immunity, what kind of supplement you should go for. Not all that people say good, you should go for it. And then quit smoking, because flu and cold is about our respiratory system. Okay, so quitting smoking is important. And if the person is not a smoker, then stay away from secondhand smoke or even environment that is polluted with smoke. So this one is just 2 examples looking into different nutrients that can help to boost our immunity. And which one should I choose? If I don't know about my genetic information, I'll just take whatever people say good, or just trial and error which one is working for me. But if you have the result, for example, in this case, B vitamins, if I consume it, let's say this is my result, it shows that I only have normal benefit for my immunity. But in selenium, it shows that it is beneficial for my body. So it means that if I get normal benefit from supplementing B vitamins, even, I eat a very balanced diet, and then I top up more vitamin B supplements, for example, it's not giving me extra protection, because my genetic tells me that as long as I'm eating a well-balanced diet, I am not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm getting the vitamins that I want, the B vitamins that I want. There is no reason for me to supplement more. Okay, but selenium is a different story. My genetic variance shows that actually I need more selenium. In other words, it also means that my body is of a higher risk being deficient in selenium, because probably my body is not absorbing it so well compared to most of the people. So if I really want to go for supplement, I would look for selenium instead of B vitamins, okay? Or I look for certain food that is very high in selenium. I eat more of those when I'm trying to boost my immunity. So the third example, calcium deficiency is a mineral. So this result shows that, okay, maybe I have normal risk. Normal risk means generally, most people, the risk level is like that. So I'm just like most of the people. That means that my genetic variance is not linked to calcium deficiency. It's not a huge issue for me as long as I eat a balanced diet, okay, and make sure that I can actually get 1,000 mg a day. Now the problem comes here. 1,000 of mg of calcium is about 3 glasses of milk, okay, high calcium milk. So here is also some example. If it's not milk, then 1 cup of yogurt and a slice of cheese will give you half of what you need daily. So, I ask myself, can I drink 3 glasses of milk a day? Or can I drink 1 glass of milk, I eat 1 slice of cheese, and then I eat 1 cup of yogurt? I would say very rarely we can do that. And if for vegetarian or vegan, they will rely very much on tofu and vegetables. So if today I'm normal risk, it shows that I can rely on food I'm absorbing well. I don't have to supplement, but I know that I can't get 1,000 mg solely from my food. So in this case, I might want to look for supplement, but I don't have to look for a super high dose calcium, because I do drink milk, I do eat yogurt, I eat cheese, but maybe I can't achieve the amount that I want. Okay, I can top up with some tofu. So I will look for a calcium supplement that is of lower dose, for example. Okay, if people with high risk, it means that despite you trying to get calcium from your food, it means that your body is not absorbing calcium very well, especially from non-dairy products. Okay, so that means that you have to supplement. Okay, final example. We look in muscle power and muscle stamina. If the result shows that you are gifted, or even you are highly gifted, it means that compared to the rest of the people, you are the top 15% there. about top 15 to top 20%. So most of the people, if they do the similar amount of exercise or training as you did, you will improve so much faster, or you can do so much better than the rest, because you are genetically better. You have a better genetic makeup in terms of this muscle power and muscle stamina. So in muscle power, if you have a very good result, it means that you have gifted ability to recruit greater amount of fast twitching muscle fiber. Okay. We have fast twitching and slow twitching muscle fiber. The fast twitching ones allow you to perform better in high intensity training in short period of time, which means exercise that require you to have a short burst of energy. Short time, but your energy comes up very fast and very powerful. You have that gift to involve in exercise like that. For example, sprinting, powerlifting, jumping, high intensity interval training, all those that require very powerful energy and happen very fast in a short time. On the other hand, stamina is the other way around, which means that you can do something for a long time with very minimal fatigue. You can stand up, you can endure, in other words. So people who are gifted here, they can focus on training the endurance part. For example, marathon, swimming, cycling, basketball, rock climbing, even dancing, all this, that usually this activity lasts for 60 minutes or more. People with gifted stamina, they can involve in this kind of activities, or they can even very, very precisely know how to train to improve. Okay, what kind of exercise, how much rest they need. All of these can be found in the physical section. So just now it was some of the actionable example. And when we are looking for a genetic test, there are a few factors we need to look for. Aside from this, whether it's a salival sample collection or a barcode swab collection, or some they even use blood sample collection. So which one do you want? Okay. And then another factor that's very, very important is whether the genetic testing lab, the laboratory that is going to analyze your result, are they certified with ISO 17025? Because this certification, it means that they have achieved the international standard for testing and calibration laboratories. It is not any general accreditation for lab. Okay, I believe many labs, they must have at least one or two ISO, which is very general. Everybody should has it. This is not something general. It's very specific international standard for any testing laboratories. So it's also required in a lot of university research lab, uh, genetic testing lab. But as you can see in comparison, there are a lot of genetic testing lab in the country that is not certified with ISO 17025. Okay, because it is not something that is a must. But if you have that, that means that you're of international standard, and the results that is being generated is reliable and accurate. Okay, this is not something that general or most of the lab can provide to you. Okay, and then some companies or a lab, they may be providing you mobile apps where you can access all your results just on your fingertips. You don't have to carry 100 over pages of thick book around you, where it's very troublesome, and you also risk of losing it. But the mobile apps follows you as long as you can log into the account. Okay, and then also some of the genetic testing will require you to fill up some lifestyle questionnaire that is to understand your diet better, your lifestyle better, to give you a more precise recommendation. So the recommendation is not just based on your gene result, but also based on how you are living now. So they can give you a more accurate recommendation and more accurate action plan. Okay, so that's basically about some of the factors you need to look into. So finally, who needs a genetic test? Who should do it? Is it only for children, is it too late for me to do it now? So if you understand that we cannot change our DNA, we cannot change our gene, it means that this test is for everyone at any age. Be it children, of course, if your children can do it now, they are of better advantage because they know their potential earlier. They can take better care of themselves earlier. You know what to invest for them, right? And then teens, they are still very young. They haven't even stepped out to the society. If they do it, they know how to improve in terms of their learning, or by knowing their personality better, knowing their potential better, they know what to focus on. For adults like us, we also want to know, especially at this stage, we really want to know, what can I do to improve my health, or what can I do to reduce the risk of me getting certain diseases. Okay, for married and unmarried couples, especially if you really want to have a child, you should also go for it because you want to understand you and your partner, what is the hidden risks that you may not know. You need to find out now and take good care of yourself now, because you are going to inherit genes to your kid. You probably really need to understand your health status. And then for elderly, it's always not too late, as we know that DNA doesn't change under normal circumstances. So even though for elderly, they also can check on it and they know how to manage if they already have certain, or they have not been diagnosed with any diseases, or they already knows of themselves having certain diseases, they probably will get some insight how to better manage them. Okay, because for all the parameters that we are checking on, there will be recommendation. So that is all for my sharing today. And I would also just like to add in that, despite this genetic test is something that tells you about your DNA, it doesn't just really work on telling you about your genetic result. Sometimes it's a very, very good reminder for you to take action to better protect your body, or take a really better or more precise prevention, not to do it in a trial and error method, but you actually know what your body needs and what is really good for your body. Okay, thank you so much. And that's my sharing for today.
Thank you, Chilyn, for the awesome sharing. I guess there are many of you here who are first timer and you have a lot of questions to ask Miss Chilyn. Before we go to the Q&A session, I would just like to show you a very short video clip. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Edward from Singapore. I've just taken my DNA test. Come and take yours too, okay?
Hi, I'm Sheila from Singapore. I've done my DNA test today. Have yours done too.
Hello, I'm Andrew from Singapore. I've taken my test. Come take yours.
Singapore, I've just taken my DNA test. Come and take yours too.
嗨，我是 Rose， 来自马来西亚。这个太好了，太重要，每一个人有，行就是我。初音呢，终于面试啦！那做我的，我们一共有10啊耶！
So now we have come to the Q&A session. For any one of you who have questions, please leave your questions at the chat box. Okay, I have someone to PM me. Asking about Miss Chilyn, how
Yeah.
often I need to do the DNA test, and what is the difference between this test and the normal yearly checkup?
This is a good question and a common question. So for DNA tests, we know that, as I've repeated a few times, that our DNA does not change under normal circumstances. So if you have done it once, you'll be going to refer to it over and over again, because the result will not change even though if you repeat it. Okay, so that is to help you to find out your blueprint. But a yearly checkup, it's what you will find out about your current status. Okay, what you check during a body checkup or yearly body checkup is to tell you your body condition at that point of time. So in other words, by knowing your blueprint, you can take an earlier action before certain disease has onset. For a body checkup is help you to monitor, okay, whether you are doing good at this moment. For example, if you go for a yearly checkup and you find that, oh, my cholesterol has raised, my cholesterol is higher than normal. So then at that point of time, only you will start thinking, oh, I need to do something about it, because it shows that my cholesterol is high. Or some people, when they do it, they already found that, oh, I have diabetes. But if you know it earlier, you are of higher risk of getting certain diseases from a DNA test. Then from there on, before you even diagnosed with anything, you were given a recommendation or actionable plan on what you should do. And then with that, you do your yearly test to monitor it. For example, if you know that I have higher risk of diabetes, then every year when I go for a test, then I will very look into my blood report, as in for the blood glucose section. Or if I know that I have higher risk for developing heart diseases, then I monitor, I know what to do, I follow it. But every year I will go for a health checkup packages that focuses on heart. For example, there are many, many different tests that can monitor on your heart. So choose the packet that focuses on heart. You can invest more in that rather than going for something that is irrelevant. Okay, so gut health is another one. There are a lot of health check packages out there that focuses on your gut. They can give you scopic tests. Okay, but if you don't have that high risk, then you don't have to spend more on that. Spend more on something else. So this is the difference. The body check, you must do it yearly, but DNA test only once in your lifetime.
Okay, thanks, Chilyn. Okay, someone asked, can baby test DNA?
Okay, this is a good question. So it depends on whether your baby can already collect the saliva, because it requires you to actually spit out 2 ml of saliva. So if the baby, you can find a way to collect that, then that's fine, as long as you are able to do it. And of course, we do encourage that when you are trying to collect it at just one sitting. Don't just collect and then maybe save for another day. So do it within a day to make sure that the sample quality is not affected.
Okay. As we have overrun, I think we have time for 2 more questions. Please leave your question, or you want to unmute yourself to ask questions. Yeah. I have one question here. How long will I get the report?
It's about 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Oh,
Yeah.
why is that so?
Yeah, because it's a long process. So first of all, once your sample is collected, your saliva sample is collected, it will be sent to the lab test in Malaysia. So what they are going to do there is, first they will have to extract out your DNA from the saliva sample, and then they will run analysis that is to decode whatever is stored inside your DNA. So once they get the very huge amount of data, that data will be sent to the UK. There's a collaboration with the UK lab. So the UK lab will be responsible to generate the final report based on the data. So it will take up some time. But the good thing about it is after you get the report, it will immediately reflect on your account. So you can just sign in and you can access your result either in PDF format or in your phone apps. So it's very convenient.
Okay. So I heard that the lab is limited to 400, and we are very lucky to be among the first few. I mean, they only launched in Singapore, Malaysia, and Brunei. So we are the lucky ones here, selected one. So yeah, the moment I heard about this test, I go for it because it's like, as you said, it's only once, do it once. It's really a good investment, and my whole family got tested actually. Now we are waiting for the result. Yeah. So in case there are some of you who are wondering where can I get it, let me just show you. In case you're wondering, for the Sino-X, which is the genetic food, superfood, we have the trial pack, 2 bots, that is ringgit 1076 or Sing dollar 424, or you can opt for the treatment pack, which is the 5 bots, at 2690 ringgit or Sing dollar 1060, and you actually get 2 boxes for free. And for the DNA test, actually, for Malaysia is ringgit 2999, and in Singapore is 1150. Yeah. So we have actually come to the end of this webinar. So first of all, I'd like to thank Miss Chilyn for her time, and to give us such a good insight about our genes. You know, by knowing our genes and having the DNA report, it is like our manual, how we want to, what are the things to eat, what are the activities that suits us, and then what is the lifestyle that we will need to adjust accordingly. So thank you everyone for being part of this webinar. So that's the end of the session. Thank you everyone. Bye, good night.
Yeah.
Bye bye.